The humid Thai air clung to Isabella like a velvet cloak, wrapping her in a heat she was only partially prepared for. Her oversized sunglasses reflected the riot of colors from the bustling Bangkok streets. Rickshaw drivers shouted, monks in saffron robes glided silently along the sidewalks, and vendors hawked everything from grilled skewers to hand-carved Buddha figurines. Isabella adjusted her sun hat, flipping her long blonde hair over one shoulder. She had traveled halfway across the world for this moment, an exotic TikTok adventure to show her followers she could conquer anything, anywhere. Thailand, she whispered to herself. Time for some fun. She grinned, already imagining the views, the reactions, the viral content. She wove through the crowds with the grace of someone who had never learned humility. Her heels clicked sharply on the cobblestones, drawing glances and a few disapproving glares. Wealth had trained her to expect attention, and attention she received. Her target, the ancient temple rising ahead, its gilded spires gleaming like 1,000 captured suns. Perfect, she muttered. A video here will break the internet. From the temple steps, she spotted him, the monk's son. He was nothing like the flamboyant performers she was used to encountering on her travels. Quiet, composed, moving with a calm precision that made the chaos around him seem unreal. He was sweeping the stone steps, a simple robe draping over his lean frame, his bare feet gripping the stones with surety. Isabella's lips curved into a mischievous smile. Perfect target, she thought. Let's see how serious he really is. Narration, the temple's son, had spent his life in quiet contemplation. His days were regimented, filled with meditation, study, and simple service to the temple and its visitors. He was used to tourists, many loud, many intrusive, but few like this, few who carried an air of both arrogance and curiosity so tightly wound together. When he noticed Isabella, he paused, sensing the storm she carried before she even spoke. Another distracted tourist, he thought, yet there's something different. Isabella approached him with exaggerated slowness, dramatically swatting away imaginary flies. Oh my God! You're like, sweeping all day, aren't you? Don't you ever take a break? She said loudly, making sure everyone nearby could hear. Narration raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. His silence was a wall, calm, immovable. He continued his sweeping, eyes forward. You're like the human embodiment of a broomstick, she continued, circling him like a cat. Seriously, do you meditate too, or just sweep endlessly for fun? Visitors nearby chuckled quietly at the unusual spectacle, but Narration remained unmoved. Isabella, never one to be ignored, snapped a photo of him from a low angle, then another from behind, whispering to herself, "This is gold for TikTok." "You should smile," she said aloud. "Come on, just one smile. Just for me. Or I'll call you the grumpy monk guy." Finally, Narration set down his broom. His voice, calm but firm, cut through the laughter around him. "The broom does not care about your opinions, and neither do I." Isabella gasped, pretending to be shocked. How rude. How dare you? She twirled dramatically. I am your audience. I am the internet. Narration inclined his head slightly, neither angered nor amused. The internet is a fleeting thing. Life is permanent. Choose what is worthy of your attention. Isabella stopped in her tracks, intrigued despite herself. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Most people fawned or cringed. This monk's son, he challenged her. She leaned closer, mock serious, her fingers brushing a gilded railing. "And what if I want to be naughty?" she whispered with a sly grin. "What if I'm here to cause trouble?" "You may," Narration replied evenly, "but the only mischief that endangers you will teach you lessons you cannot unlearn." Isabella laughed, a soft but mischievous sound. "Lessons? I live for fun, not lessons. And danger? Ugh. I've conquered more than danger in my life. The monk's son said nothing, his calm stare following her movements. She doesn't understand, he thought, but perhaps she will soon. Later, Isabella's curiosity and ego led her to the top of the temple roof, seeking the perfect tick-tock shot. She laughed, her voice echoing across the courtyard below. Look at me. I am the queen of adventure. The stones beneath her shifted unexpectedly. A sudden jolt of fear shot through her body as she lost her footing. Her arms flailed, heart pounding, and for the first time, her confidence faltered. From below, Nyron acted instinctively. He grabbed a nearby rope, scaling the roof with the precision and calm born of years of discipline. "Hold still," he shouted, his hands wrapped around hers just as she teetered dangerously. She gasped, clinging to him, the adrenaline and fear making her heart race. I, thank you," she stammered, barely able to catch her breath. Nyron looked into her eyes, voice steady, yet his grip firm. Life is not for mocking. Every moment matters. Understand that, and you may begin to truly see it. Isabella, trembling, realized that this wasn't just a thrill, it was a lesson, an awakening. And perhaps, she thought with a flutter of unfamiliar emotion, the first spark of something real. As she descended carefully, holding on to Nyron's steady hands, Isabella muttered, "Who is this calm, infuriating, incredible man? Have you ever been humbled in the most unexpected way? What moment changed how you saw yourself?" The wind swept through the temple courtyard, carrying the scent of incense and tropical flowers. Isabella, still shaking from her near fall, tried to compose herself, though her heart refused to slow. She cast a sideways glance at Nyron, who was quietly dusting off his robe as if nothing extraordinary had happened. "You really didn't have to catch me," she said, attempting a teasing tone, though it trembled slightly. "I mean, it was my choice to be thrilling." Nyron's calm gaze met hers. "Choice does not absolve consequence," he said softly. His voice held no judgment, only quiet understanding. It unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. She lifted her sunglasses, letting her golden eyes lock with his. "You sound like my life coach now. Are you always this serious?" "I speak truth when it is needed," he replied. It seems today it was needed. Isabella's lips curved into a playful smirk. "Needed? Oh, so now you're my hero too." She spun on her heel, pretending to brush imaginary dust from her dress, then paused. "Why does he make me feel nervous?" She noticed the way the sunlight caught the folds of his robe, the quiet rhythm of his movements. Isabella had never been fascinated by stillness before, yet somehow this monk's son held her attention without trying. Deciding to press her advantage, she sauntered closer, deliberately exaggerating her steps. "So, wise monk boy, do you ever have fun, or is life just sweeping and saving foolish tourists?" Nyron's lips twitched slightly, a near smile that Isabella caught instantly. "Ah, he's amused," she thought. "See? I can get under your skin." "You are learning," he replied evenly, though there was an unmistakable sparkle in his eyes. "But sometimes learning comes with humility." Isabella feigned indignation, placing her hands on her hips. "Humility? That's boring. I prefer chaos, adventure, and, well, me." For the next hour, they played a delicate dance of words and glances. Isabella mocked exaggeratedly, pretending to swoon when Nyron moved past, while he responded with calm, witty retorts. At one point, she tried to balance on a low ledge, arms outstretched, pretending to be a statue. "Look, I am one with the temple," she declared. Nyron raised an eyebrow, his voice calm but firm. "One with gravity, perhaps, but one with safety, no." She laughed, the sound carrying across the courtyard. "Oh, you're impossible. But I kind of like that about you." The admission slipped out before she could catch it. Isabella's cheeks flushed, and she quickly looked away, pretending to inspect a flower by the steps. Nyron walked toward her, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. Danger and recklessness amuse you because you have not yet faced the consequences in full, he said quietly. You are brave, yes, but there is courage in understanding when to stop as well. The word struck her in an unexpected way. Isabella's playful facade wavered. For the first time, someone was speaking not to the persona she showed the world, but to the girl behind it, the girl who had grown used to testing boundaries and expecting admiration. I guess I never thought about that, she admitted softly, almost whispering. Her voice lacked its usual boldness, replaced with something fragile and real. Nyron's gaze softened. It is not weakness to consider consequences. It is wisdom. Even the boldest hearts must learn balance. Isabella swallowed hard, suddenly aware of her heartbeat, of the warmth spreading in her chest, of the flutter in her stomach she had never felt toward anyone before. For a brief moment, they simply stood there, the temple around them alive with incense smoke, chimes, and distant chanting. Isabella noticed the calm strength in Nyron's eyes, the patience in his posture, and the quiet confidence that required no show. You're different from anyone I've ever met, she admitted, voice low. And I don't know why, but I feel like I should listen when you talk. Nyron nodded slightly, a small acknowledgement of the growing connection. Perhaps because you are ready to listen, he said simply. Or perhaps because you are learning that life has lessons far richer than amusement. Isabella's lips curved into a shy, reluctant smile. She had come seeking fun, entertainment, and viral content, yet she found herself caught in something unexpected. Tension, curiosity, and the first stirrings of attraction. Later, as the afternoon sun reached its peak, Isabella's adventurous spirit returned. She spotted the temple's higher balcony, imagining a TikTok video with breathtaking views. Come on, Nyron. You're not going to stop me from creating art, are you? She called, her tone daring and mischievous. He shook his head, a faint frown crossing his calm face. Art does not require peril. You risk more than you realize. Peril is part of the fun, she laughed, spinning on her heel. Yet her eyes flickered toward him, betraying a hidden question. Will he care if I fall again? Nyron remained silent, but the faint tightening of his jaw revealed concern. The first seeds of tension had been planted, and both of them felt it, though neither spoke it aloud. Have you ever been drawn to someone completely different from yourself? What unexpected connection changed your life? The sun dipped low over the Tai Temple, casting long golden shadows across the ancient stone steps. Isabella sat cross-legged on the temple balcony, pretending to meditate but secretly scanning the courtyard for Nyron. She spotted him moving gracefully among the visitors, offering quiet guidance and small smiles to those who sought it. Boring, she muttered under her breath, kicking at the stone. He's too calm. Where's the thrill in that? Yet, even as she whispered, she couldn't tear her eyes away from him. There was something magnetic about the way he carried himself, so steady, so assured, that it contrasted sharply with her chaotic energy. Determined to provoke a reaction, Isabella approached him again, flipping her hair with exaggerated drama. Oh, mighty monk boy, do you ever get bored being so perfect? Nyron paused, brushing a strand of hair from his face before answering. Perfection is an illusion, he said calmly, and your attempts to disrupt it are predictable. Isabella gasped, feigning offense. Predictable? Me? Impossible. She twirled, arms wide, pretending to bow to the temple gods. Visitors nearby chuckled quietly at the unusual scene, but Nyron remained stoic, unflustered. She smirked, stepping closer. You know, I could make you laugh if I tried hard enough, or maybe even fall in love with me. Nyron tilted his head slightly, the faintest smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "You may try," he said simply, "but love is not won through mockery." Isabella felt a strange tug in her chest, a flutter she hadn't anticipated. Why does he affect me like this? She wondered. He's calm, quiet, infuriating, and I can't stop noticing him. Meanwhile, Nyron felt a tension in his chest he hadn't expected either. Her teasing, her audacity, even her arrogance. It was disruptive, yet not unpleasant. She challenges everything I know about patience, he thought, and yet she may be teaching me something too. Their emotional resistance, the push and pull, grew, each testing boundaries, neither yielding, both drawn in ways they could not yet name. Despite the rising connection, barriers loomed. Nyron had been raised with discipline, respect for tradition, and a life of humility. Isabella, on the other hand, had been nurtured in wealth, indulgence, and adventure. Their worlds were not merely different. They were practically opposites. "I don't understand you," Isabella said at one point, sitting on a temple step with her knees drawn up. "You're infuriating. But also, I don't know, I like it." Nyron sat nearby, maintaining respectful distance. "Understanding takes time," he said quietly, "and you may find that what seems infuriating is often an invitation to see yourself more clearly." Isabella's eyes narrowed. "See myself more clearly? Is that supposed to be a compliment or a threat?" "Perhaps both," he replied calmly, turning his gaze to the sunset. Later that evening, Isabella wandered near the temple gardens, still buzzing from their interactions. She found herself alone with Nyron by a small koi pond, the water reflecting the fiery sky. "You know," she said quietly, almost to herself, "I never thought someone like you could matter to someone like me." Nyron's eyes softened, acknowledging her words without judgment. "Perhaps you've never met someone who requires patience and stillness," he said. "Or perhaps you are only now beginning to understand what matters." Her chest tightened. For the first time, Isabella admitted to herself that her playful mockery was a shield, a way to keep people from seeing her real emotions, her need for connection, and her fear of being vulnerable. She looked at Nyron, wondering if he saw through the facade. "Did you understand me?" she whispered. "I see you," he said simply. "All of you. And perhaps that is why you challenge me so." As night fell, Isabella returned to her hotel, mind racing. Her playful bravado had slipped several times, revealing glimpses of vulnerability she had never allowed anyone to witness. Her heart thumped in ways that terrified and exhilarated her. Meanwhile, Nyron remained at the temple, thinking about her. Her energy, reckless yet genuine, was unlike anything he had encountered. He felt a rare desire to protect, to guide, and he realized reluctantly to care more than he had expected. Yet both resisted the pull. Isabella clung to her independence, her thrill-seeking ways. Nyron held to his discipline and detachment, aware of the cultural, spiritual, and emotional divides between them. Their dance continued, attraction undeniable, yet unspoken, their hearts edging ever closer to a collision that neither was fully prepared for. By nightfall, Isabella's curiosity overcame her caution once more. She peeked at the highest temple terrace, imagining the ultimate TikTok shot under the moonlight. Her grin was dangerous, her ego defiant. Nyron, noticing her from below, quietly muttered, "Do not tempt fate. Every thrill has a cost." But Isabella waved him off. "Oh, I can handle it," she called, not realizing that the stones beneath her feet were slick from evening dew. Have you ever been drawn to someone you shouldn't have, or who challenged everything about you? How did you navigate the tension? The moon hung low over the Thai temple, its silver light casting delicate shadows on the intricate carvings and golden spires. Isabella's laughter echoed through the courtyard as she scaled the steep steps to the highest terrace. the one overlooking the city below. Her phone balanced precariously in her hand, capturing what she hoped would be the ultimate TikTok shot. "Come on, Nyron. This will be legendary," she shouted, her voice ringing with playful defiance. Nyron's calm eyes widened slightly as he observed her movements. "Isabella, that is not safe," he warned. But his voice carried the weight of inevitability. He knew she would ignore it. She waved dismissively. "I live for fun, remember? Don't ruin the adventure." Isabella reached the narrow edge, balancing delicately. The city lights flickered below like fireflies, tempting her with the illusion of invincibility. "This is perfect," she whispered, leaning out just enough to catch the best angle. Then it happened, a subtle shift beneath her foot. A loose stone gave way, sending a small spray of pebbles tumbling down. Her heart jumped, and adrenaline surged through her veins. "Whoa. Okay, maybe this was a bad idea," she muttered, her bravado faltering for the first time. Her phone teetered dangerously over the edge. Below, Nyron acted without hesitation. His calm composure was replaced by decisive action as he grabbed a nearby rope, securing it around a sturdy pillar. He began to ascend, each movement precise, every muscle taut with purpose. "Hold still," he called, his voice steady but urgent. Isabella froze, clinging to the edge with trembling fingers. The realization of her mortality hit her like a lightning bolt. "This isn't fun anymore. I could die." Nyron reached her in moments that felt like hours, his hands wrapped around hers, strong yet careful. "Grab my hands and trust me," he instructed. Trembling, Isabella obeyed. I can't believe this is happening." "You are alive," Nyron replied quietly, "and that is all that matters." Step by careful step, he guided her back to the terrace's safety. Her body shook from fear and adrenaline, but her eyes never left his. There was a quiet intensity in his gaze that pierced her usual armor of humor and arrogance. Once safely on solid ground, Isabella sank to her knees, the weight of a near fall pressing on her chest. I could have died," she whispered, voice cracking slightly. She hadn't realized how close she had come. Nyron knelt beside her, his hand brushing her trembling arm. "And yet you are here," he said softly. "Perhaps now you can understand why recklessness has its limits." Her eyes filled with tears, not from fear, but from the sudden clarity of his presence, the reality that someone cared enough to save her. For the first time, Isabella allowed herself to feel small, human, and vulnerable. I'm sorry," she murmured. I didn't think." Nyron shook his head. "No apology is needed. The lesson has been learned." Isabella's gaze lingered on him, the fear fading into something warmer, something unfamiliar. She felt an intense pull toward him, not just gratitude, but curiosity, admiration, and a strange flutter she had never felt for anyone before. You saved me," she said softly. "Not because I'm rich or famous or entertaining, but just because every life matters," Nyron replied, "even those who laugh at danger too loudly." His lips twitched into a rare, small smile. The shared laughter that followed was different this time, gentle, relieved, and intimate. Isabella felt a crack in her playful armor, a glimpse of her true self reflected in his calm, unwavering presence. For several minutes, they simply sat together on the terrace, the city lights twinkling below, the temple silent around them. Isabella's hand brushed against his accidentally, sending a spark through her that she couldn't explain. Nyron's eyes followed the movement but didn't move away. The silence spoke volumes. Words were unnecessary. She had teased him, mocked him, challenged him, and yet here he was, steady, protective, patient. Something shifted in her heart. "I can't stop noticing him," she thought, "and maybe I don't want to." The moonlight bathed the terrace in silver, highlighting the delicate lines of Nyron's face, the quiet strength in his posture. Isabella felt her ego soften, replaced by a tender awareness of the man beside her, a man who saw her for who she truly was, beyond bravado, beyond the wealth, beyond the mischief. You really are different," she whispered. "I've never met anyone like you." Nyron's gaze softened. "And I have rarely met anyone like you. Bold, fearless, but also capable of learning and reflection." Their eyes met, a silent acknowledgement passing between them, a connection forged through fear, trust, and the vulnerability of shared experience. As they descended the terrace together, Isabella felt a strange combination of exhilaration and humility. The near-death incident had cracked open a door in her heart, and Nyron's calm presence had slipped inside. She didn't know what would come next, but she knew one thing for certain. Life had just become infinitely more complicated and infinitely more intriguing. She glanced at him, her voice soft but teasing. "I guess maybe I should listen to you more often?" Nyron's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "Perhaps, but not all lessons are easy to hear." Isabella laughed softly, a sound tinged with nervous excitement. For the first time, she felt that the thrill of adventure wasn't the danger, it was in him. Have you ever faced a moment where someone's guidance or protection changed the way you see yourself? Who has been your unexpected hero? The morning sun filtered through the temple's bamboo shades, painting golden patterns on the stone floor. Isabella stirred awake, her mind still buzzing from the previous night's adrenaline and intimacy. She sat on a low wooden bench outside the meditation hall, sipping lukewarm tea, trying to process the whirlwind of emotions that had overtaken her. Nyron approached silently, carrying a small basket of fresh fruits and herbs. "Good morning," he said softly, setting the basket down beside her. His calm presence felt grounding, almost like a harbor in the storm of her thoughts. "Morning," Isabel replied, her voice quieter than usual. "Thank you for last night." He nodded, settling across from her. "It was necessary for your safety, and perhaps for your understanding of limits." Isabella chuckled lightly, a nervous habit she couldn't suppress. "Limits, huh? That sounds like a lecture." "Perhaps," he admitted, "but every lesson worth learning carries wisdom." Isabella shifted, tracing the rim of her teacup. "You know, I've never been like this before. Falling, almost dying, being saved by someone who cares. It's new to me." Her voice trailed off, tinged with vulnerability. Nyron tilted his head slightly. "Why is it new?" She sighed, letting the armor slip a little. "I grew up in a life where attention came because of wealth and charm, not because someone truly cared. People fawned over the name, the status, not the person. I learned to play, to entertain, to keep everyone guessing. I didn't really know how to be seen." Nyron's gaze softened. "And now, perhaps, you are beginning to see yourself reflected in someone who does not judge by pretense." Isabella nodded, eyes misting slightly. "Yes, and it scares me, because I don't know how to handle it. I've always been in control. But with you, I feel vulnerable." Nyron remained quiet for a long moment, then spoke softly, his voice measured. "I too have lived behind walls of my own making. My life has been one of discipline, service, and solitude. I was trained to control my impulses, to avoid attachment, to prioritize wisdom over desire." Isabella leaned in slightly, curious. "But you saved me, and you stayed with me afterward. That doesn't sound like solitude." He allowed a small, rare smile. "Even those who guard their hearts can feel the stirrings of connection, but such feelings must be approached with patience. I have seen attachment bring suffering when not guided by understanding." She studied him, sensing layers of unspoken history. "Have you ever let yourself care for someone?" Nyron's eyes darkened briefly with memory. I did once. Long ago. I let myself hope, let myself love, and it cost me dearly. I swore never to be unprepared again. Isabella's voice softened. So, you've been cautious all your life. And yet, here you are, with me. Yes, he admitted. And that is why this is different. You challenge the walls I built. For the first time, silence between them was comfortable, even intimate. Isabella felt a strange kinship forming, a recognition that both had been shaped by their past, both had been protecting themselves from vulnerability. And yet here they were, drawn together despite it all. You've never really lived recklessly, she said softly. You're so disciplined, so careful. And yet, I think you understand more than most. I understand the value of life and the consequences of choices, he replied. But understanding alone is not enough. Experience teaches true wisdom. And sometimes that experience comes from others. Her hand brushed against his accidentally. Neither pulled away, neither moved forward. It was a delicate dance of closeness and restraint, fraught with unspoken acknowledgement of their growing connection. Later, as they walked along the temple's koi pond, Nyron shared a story from his youth. I was once offered wealth beyond measure, power, and recognition, but I chose to leave it behind to follow a path of humility and service. My heart was broken once. Love and loss taught me that attachment without understanding brings suffering. Isabella listened intently, her fingers trailing along the water's edge. And yet, you didn't close yourself off entirely. You still help, still care, even when it hurts. Nyron's gaze met hers. Because some connections are worth the risk. Even for someone like me, the chance to be of service, to protect, to witness another's growth, it is enough. Isabella felt a lump in her throat. Here was a man who had lived fully, yet quietly, whose strength came from patience and restraint, whose heart had been tested and refined. She realized that for the first time, she wanted to belong, not as a persona, not as entertainment, not as wealth, but as herself. Yet, even as they shared these intimate revelations, both felt the unspoken tension between them. Isabella's impulsive, playful nature clashed with Nyron's calm, disciplined existence. They were drawn together, yet the gulf between their worlds loomed large. Isabella broke the silence with a soft laugh, though it carried a hint of sadness. I don't know how to be normal. I don't even know what that means anymore. Nyron smiled faintly. Perhaps normal is irrelevant. Perhaps it is enough to simply be honest with yourself and with others. That is a first step toward understanding connection. She nodded, feeling the truth of his words resonate. For the first time, she understood that this connection was not about fun or games or TikTok fame. It was about something deeper, a recognition of hearts that had been guarded, broken, and yet still capable of hope. As the sun climbed higher, casting a warm glow across the temple, both were unaware of the subtle dangers creeping into their story, cultural misunderstandings, personal pride, and external pressures of their very different worlds. The backstories have been revealed, the walls have been glimpsed, but the true tests of trust, vulnerability, and love were still ahead. Isabella glanced at Nyron, her voice soft yet teasing. So, am I learning anything from you, or is this just life lessons disguised as fun? Nyron's eyes held her gaze steadily. Perhaps both, but only time will reveal the answer. Have you ever met someone who challenged your past and helped you see yourself differently? Who changed the way you understand love or trust? The afternoon sun bathed the temple gardens in a warm golden glow, highlighting the vibrant colors of tropical flowers swaying gently in the breeze. Isabella wandered along the cobblestone path, her eyes catching every delicate detail, the curve of a petal, the shimmer of sunlight on the pond, the intricate carvings on the stone statues. Nyron followed silently, close enough to guide but distant enough to give her space. Isabella's heart raced, not from fear this time, but from anticipation. She felt strangely at ease around him, yet her mind raced with curiosity about the depths behind his calm exterior. "You really notice everything, don't you?" she said lightly, pointing at a delicate orchid. "I never realized flowers could be so alive." Nyron's gaze softened. "The world reveals its beauty to those who look carefully. Many are too busy to notice." Isabella smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "Maybe I've been too busy chasing excitement. Maybe I forgot how to just see." They reached a small stone bridge over the koi pond. Isabella leaned over to watch the fish ripple beneath the surface. One particularly bold koi swam toward her hand, prompting a startled yelp. "Careful," Nyron said quietly, hiding the faint amusement in his eyes. "It's not my fault," she protested, laughter bubbling up. "This little guy is aggressive." Nyron chuckled softly, the sound low and comforting. Perhaps he recognized his courage. Isabella's laughter rang across the garden, light and genuine, carrying with it a rare innocence she hadn't shown in years. For a fleeting moment, the world felt suspended, and they existed only in the shared warmth of the moment. As they wandered further, Isabella's hand brushed against Nyron's accidentally, sending an unexpected spark through her. He didn't pull away, letting the brief contact linger, though his expression remained calm. "Why are you so composed?" she asked, her voice tinged with curiosity and awe. "Even now, after all this chaos, you're still steady." Nyron's lips curved slightly. "Because calmness is a choice," he said simply. "Even in the midst of chaos, one can choose to remain present." Isabella studied him, realizing that his composure was not arrogance, it was strength. And for the first time, she felt safe enough to let her guard down, even if only slightly. They settled on a shaded bench beneath a sprawling banyan tree. Isabella leaned back, the sun warming her face, and sighed. "I never thought someone like me could feel like this. Vulnerable, I mean. But with you, I feel it, and it's not bad." Nyron's gaze softened, meeting hers with intensity that made her heart flutter. "Vulnerability is not weakness," he said. "It is the courage to be seen as you truly are. You have allowed yourself to be seen, and that is rare." Her cheeks flushed. "I've never met anyone who sees me like that. Usually, people see what I want them to see, the charm, the antics, the laughter. But you see me, and it's terrifying but also comforting." Nyron extended a hand to her, his touch gentle yet deliberate. "Would you like to learn something simple?" he asked. "A meditation, not for discipline, but for peace." Isabella hesitated, then took his hand. "Okay, teach me." He guided her through slow breathing, focusing on the sound of the wind, the rustle of leaves, the soft trickle of water from the pond. Isabella's racing mind began to calm, replaced by a gentle awareness of the moment. "You see," Nyron whispered, "even chaos can have a rhythm. Even restless hearts can find stillness." Her eyes softened, and she looked at him, truly looked at him, for the first time without masks or performance. I think I could learn a lot from you," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. After the meditation, they shared a quiet meal in the temple courtyard. Nyron had prepared simple dishes of rice, fresh vegetables, and herbs. Isabella watched him move gracefully, appreciating the thoughtfulness behind every gesture. "You make even the simplest things feel special," she said, smiling genuinely. "It is not the food but the intention," he replied. "The way we approach each action gives it meaning." Isabella nodded, reflecting on her life of luxury, extravagance, and constant stimulation. Here with him, she realized she would find meaning in simplicity, joy in patience, and warmth in connection. As the day waned, Isabella leaned against Nyron, feeling an unfamiliar sense of safety. I think I'm starting to understand what it means to care about someone without expecting anything in return, she said softly. Nyron's eyes held hers, calm yet filled with emotion. That is love, he said simply, pure, patient, and unselfish. It grows when nurtured by trust and understanding. Her heart thumped. And do you think someone like me could ever really feel that? He smiled faintly, a rare warmth breaking through his composed exterior. You already are. The rest will follow with time. As twilight fell, painting the temple gardens in hues of purple and gold, Isabella and Nyron remained close, savoring the intimacy of shared silence and laughter. Yet the world beyond the temple loomed, a world of cultural expectations, personal pride, and societal divides. The bond they were forming was strong, but challenges were inevitable. Isabella's gaze lingered on him, a soft smile on her lips. I think I might be falling for you, she admitted, voice trembling with excitement and fear. Nyron's expression softened, a rare vulnerability in his otherwise composed demeanor, and I have begun to feel the same. But the path forward will not be simple. They sat together in quiet understanding, aware that the coming days would test their newfound bond, forcing them to navigate the complexities of love, pride, and difference. Have you ever shared a moment of deep connection that made you feel truly seen? Who has helped you open your heart to love? The morning mist hung thick over the temple grounds, the garden dew glistening on the petals of exotic flowers. Isabella woke with a lingering warmth from the previous day's closeness, only to find the courtyard empty and Nyron nowhere in sight. A pang of unease struck her chest. Had he left without a word? She wandered to the temple halls, her footsteps echoing on the stone floor. Each empty corridor amplified her growing anxiety. When she finally found him near the meditation hall, his expression was unreadable, distant. Nyron, she called softly. He turned slowly, his calm composure shadowed by tension. Isabella, we need to speak. Her heart raced. What is it? Did I do something wrong? Nyron's gaze dropped to ground. You ignore warnings and put yourself in danger. Last night could have ended differently. I cannot allow recklessness to endanger your life or others. Isabella blinked, feeling her chest tighten. I thought we were having fun. You were there with me. You saved me. Why are you making this about me being reckless? Because, Nyron said, voice rising slightly, rare anger threading through his words, actions have consequences. Life is not a game, Isabella. I cannot watch someone I care about risk everything for amusement. Her eyes flashed with hurt and frustration. I am not a child. I can take care of myself. The clash of emotions hung between them, charged and explosive. For the first time, Isabella saw a side of Nyron that was not calm or patient. He was human, flawed, and fiercely protective, and that frightened her. Isabella turned away, crossing the courtyard, fists clenched. Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I was foolish to think I could be part of your world. Nyron's voice softened, but the distance remained. It is not about belonging. It is about understanding that some boundaries are necessary. For you, for me, for what we might have. Her chest ached. For the first time, the playful facade she had carried for so long cracked completely, revealing raw emotion. She wanted to yell, to demand, to lash out, but the words lodged in her throat. Pride battled fear, vulnerability, and hurt. As if to underscore the tension, the temple's abbots approached, concerned over the earlier rooftop incident and her apparent disregard for rules. They addressed Nyron with formal respect, their concern sharp. Master Nyron, we must enforce safety for all visitors. Such recklessness cannot continue. Nyron nodded, aware that Isabella would overhear. I understand. This is why we must be mindful of our actions, he said calmly, though his heart pounded. Isabella felt a surge of humiliation. She had thought this world was enchanting, a place of serenity, but now it felt judgmental and restrictive. She wanted freedom, adventure, and fun, not rules and reprimands. Later that evening, Isabella sat alone on the temple balcony, gazing at the city lights below. Her heart ached with frustration and longing. She loved Nyron, or at least felt a deep, unspoken attachment, but his world felt impossible to navigate. Why does everything have to be so complicated? She thought. Why can't love just be simple? Meanwhile, Nyron sat in the meditation hall, head bowed, heart heavy. He cared for Isabella more than he had anticipated, but her impulsiveness and disregard for safety challenged his beliefs and threatened the order he had maintained his entire life. He wondered if love was enough to bridge the gap between their worlds, or if their differences would ultimately shatter the fragile bond they had built. Isabella, in her frustration, sought solace by scrolling through her phone, only to stumble upon a local news alert about her reckless rooftop stunt. Young socialite rescued at temple after dangerous stunt. The headline stung. She felt exposed, humiliated, and betrayed, not by Nyron, but by the perception of the outside world intruding upon her vulnerable moment. She imagined Nyron reading it too, judging her further. Rage mixed with hurt, and she typed a quick, sharp message. Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't belong here. Nyron read the message moments later, his chest tightening. He wanted to reply, to explain, to comfort, but he knew that any immediate response could escalate tension further. Pride and caution kept him silent. That night, both lay awake in their separate quarters, the distance between them both physical and emotional. Isabella felt the sting of rejection, humiliation, and loneliness. Nyron wrestled with his own feelings of concern, frustration, and helplessness. For the first time, both realized that love alone could not solve their differences. Without understanding, patience, and mutual compromise, even the strongest connection could fracture. As the moonlight spilled over the temple, both pondered the next steps. Isabella knew she could not retreat forever. Her heart had been touched, and the vulnerability she felt was real. Nyron recognized that his discipline, while necessary, could not suppress his growing feelings. They were at the shatter point, the moment where hearts hung in the balance, teetering between separation and reconciliation. Have you ever been torn between pride and love, or distance and desire? How did you navigate your toughest emotional moments? The dawn broke gently over the temple, casting a soft glow across the gardens and courtyard. Isabella stood at the balcony, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the city met the sky. The night had been long and sleepless, haunted by her own pride, fear, and regret. She could still feel the weight of her last confrontation with Nyron, his calm yet firm reprimand, the distance in his eyes, and the silent judgment she feared. Her heart ached, but beneath the pain was a flicker of clarity. I care for him deeply. I cannot let this slip away. She turned as footsteps approached. Nyron emerged from the meditation hall, his movements deliberate and steady. His expression, calm as ever, carried an unspoken question. Are you ready to face what's between us? Isabella's voice trembled slightly, betraying her inner turmoil. Nyron, He raised a hand gently, stopping her words. Isabella, we both need honesty. No excuses, no games. Only truth. She nodded, swallowing hard. I was reckless. I let my ego, my pride, and my need for attention get in the way. And I hurt you, and I almost hurt myself. I'm sorry. Nyron's gaze softened, the tension easing slightly. And yet, I also recognize that your actions come from a desire to experience life fully, to feel alive. That is not inherently wrong. Her eyes widened, hope mingling with uncertainty. So you're not angry? I was concerned, he admitted, worried for your safety. And perhaps I feared losing what we have, even for a moment. Isabella took a deep breath, the weight of the past days pressing down on her. I don't want to lose this. Us. I can't pretend that I don't feel something real. Nyron studied her, his calm demeanor hiding the storm of emotion inside. You must choose, Isabella. Choose whether to continue hiding behind games and bravado, or to step forward fully with vulnerability and honesty. Her heart pounded. She knew the choice was hers, and the stakes were higher than she had ever faced. If I retreat, we lose everything. If I step forward, I risk everything, but gain something far greater. She met his gaze squarely. I choose to be with you. Truly. No masks, no games, just us. Nyron's eyes glimmered with a rare, unguarded warmth. He extended his hand to her, a gesture of trust and invitation. Then I choose the same. Together we face the world, not as separate individuals, but as a bond forged in honesty, respect, and care. Isabella placed her hand in his, the physical connection igniting a surge of emotion she could not contain. The tension, the fear, the pride, all melted away in the warmth of their shared choice. They walked together through the temple gardens, their hands intertwined, feeling the weight of past conflicts lift slightly with each step. Isabella spoke softly. I've never trusted anyone like this, not even myself, fully. But with you, I feel like I can. Nyron's grip tightened gently, reassuring yet firm. Trust is earned and also given freely when one is ready. You have chosen wisely, and that courage strengthens the bond between us. Isabella smiled, a mixture of relief, joy, and lingering nervousness. It feels terrifying, but also right. Fear often accompanies change, Nyron said quietly, but it is through facing fear that we grow. And love, true love, requires growth. Later, as the sun rose higher, they sat beneath a flowering tree, sharing silence and subtle touches. Isabella leaned her head on Nyron's shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing. For the first time in her life, she felt the profound peace of being truly seen and accepted. I never thought I'd feel this way, she admitted softly. Not with someone like you, not with someone who challenges me so completely. Nyron's hand brushed hers gently. And yet, here we are, two souls, different yet complementary, learning to trust, to care, and to love without reservation. Her chest swelled with emotion. I've found something I never knew I needed. As they walked back toward the temple entrance, the abbots who had earlier expressed concern now observed them with quiet approval. Their serene smiles, subtle nods, and soft words of encouragement confirmed that the path they had chosen was not only personal, but honored by the wisdom of the temple. Isabella felt a surge of gratitude for Nyron, for the experience, and for the lessons learned through fear, misunderstanding, and eventual choice. The day's events set the stage for ultimate reconciliation and the final act. Both had confronted their deepest fears, acknowledged their vulnerabilities, and made conscious choices to embrace love fully. The stage was now set for the final act, where love, trust, and emotional catharsis would reach their climax. Isabella's gaze met Nyron's as they paused on the temple steps. I'm ready, she whispered. Nyron's response was a subtle smile and a firm squeeze of her hand. And I am with you every step of the way. The choice had been made, the bond solidified. The heart of the story, their connection, was no longer in doubt. Have you ever faced a choice that could change your life forever? How did you decide between fear and love? Are you fear to love someone freely, without limits? The morning sun poured over the temple in a warm golden haze, illuminating every leaf, flower, and stone carving. Isabella stood on the temple's main terrace, feeling the soft breeze play through her hair. Her heart was calm, yet full of anticipation. Today was the day that all the tension, misunderstanding, and fear would find its resolution. Nyron approached quietly, his footsteps light on the stone floor. He carried a small lantern, symbolic of guidance and illumination. Their eyes met, and in that instant, all the uncertainty and friction of the past days melted away, leaving only trust, love, and mutual respect. Isabella took a deep breath and stepped closer. Nyron, I've thought a lot about what we've been through, the mistakes, the misunderstandings, everything. Her voice trembled slightly, but her gaze was steady. And I realized something. I don't want to hide behind fear, pride, or games anymore. I want to be with you fully, truly, and honestly. Nyron's lips curved into a rare, gentle smile. And I, too, have realized that love is not about control, distance, or caution. It is about openness, courage, and choosing to stand together despite the uncertainties. Isabella reached out, taking his hand in hers. Their fingers intertwined, a physical symbol of the bond they had fought to maintain and protect. As they walked through the temple gardens, the abbots who had previously expressed concern now greeted them warmly. One elder stepped forward, bowing respectfully. Your journey has been a lesson in patience, understanding, and compassion. Love, when rooted in truth, honors both hearts and wisdom. Isabella's eyes misted with gratitude. Thank you for guiding us, even when we struggled. Nyron nodded. It is not guidance alone, but the willingness to face ourselves and each other that has brought this resolution. The external acknowledgement reinforced their emotional growth. Love had triumphed not by avoidance, but through courage, understanding, and vulnerability. Later, they sat by the koi pond, the water reflecting the sunlight like scattered jewels. Isabella rested her head on Nyron's shoulder, feeling his steady heartbeat beneath her cheek. For the first time, she felt entirely safe, completely seen, and utterly at peace. I never thought I could feel this way, she whispered. Not with someone who challenges me, who doesn't just indulge my whims, but with someone who makes me grow. Nyron's hand brushed a stray strand of hair from her face. Growth and love are inseparable. True love does not merely comfort, it transforms. Isabella smiled, tears threatening to spill. Then, I'm ready to embrace all of it, life, love, and even the challenges we might face. And I will be here by your side, he promised. Every step, every moment, every challenge. Together. As the sun climbed higher, casting warm light across the temple, Isabella and Nyron walked hand in hand, their bond no longer tentative but strong, resilient, and full of hope. They shared laughter, quiet conversation, and moments of gentle teasing, discovering joy in simple pleasures. The scent of flowers, the sound of water trickling in the koi pond, the warmth of sunlight on their skin. This feels like the beginning, Isabella said softly, glancing up at him. Nyron nodded. Every ending is the start of something new. Our story continues, not without challenges, but with understanding, trust, and love. The gentle hum of life around them, birds singing, the wind rustling through leaves, the distant murmur of the city, felt like a symphony celebrating their newfound harmony. Later that evening, as the stars emerged in the night sky, Isabella and Nyron lit small lanterns and released them into the temple's reflecting pond. The glowing orbs drifted on the water's surface, symbolic of hope, renewal, and their shared journey. Every lantern, Isabella whispered, is like a promise we've made to ourselves and each other. And every step we've taken, Nyron added, is a reminder that love, patience, and honesty always find their way. They watched in silence, their hands entwined, hearts aligned, knowing that the trials they faced had strengthened them rather than weakened them. The rooftop incident, the misunderstandings, the fears, all had been necessary to bring them to this moment of clarity, intimacy, and trust. As the last lantern floated away, Isabella turned to Nyron, her eyes glistening with emotion. I never imagined that the person I teased, mocked, and even frustrated could become the one I loved most in my life. Nyron's expression softened, eyes reflecting both serenity and passion. And I never imagined that someone so bold, playful, and spirited could teach me the depth of vulnerability and trust. You have transformed my world, Isabella. They leaned toward each other, foreheads touching, sharing a tender, lingering moment that sealed their journey. The barriers between them, pride, fear, and past experiences, had fallen away. What remained was pure, heartfelt love and the promise of a shared future. Have you ever experienced love that challenged you to grow and change? Thank you so much for staying around with me, and thank you for watching this story till end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as interesting and even more intriguing as can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one. See you next time, my dear family and dear friends.